Hello, my name is Mackenzie James, and today I'm going to tell you a story. In 2013, I was able to go to Zambia, Africa, and I'm going to get more into that story in a little bit. But now that I have your attention, I'd like to talk about the 3 points that I'll be pointing out about the benefits of traveling. So the first point is traveling brings growth, mainly personal growth, as well as it can improve health and expand one's worldview. So what we will be talking about first is how traveling brings growth, mainly personal growth. And Up With People has a quote that says, "Getting outside of your comfort zone can build your confidence and exercise independence when it comes to traveling." And so obviously when we're traveling, we are pushed out of our comfort zone because we're not in our normal routine of life. We're in a new country or a new town or a new place, and that just causes us to go outside of our comfort zone, maybe walk up to a stranger that we wouldn't usually be comfortable with doing, or just trying new things that we wouldn't normally be interested in. Because we're in a new country, we just have this adrenaline to do new things. The second point is traveling can improve your health, and Brain Bite by Stanford says traveling can strengthen your immune system when you travel and are not in routine, and that can lower your stress, and you can be more interested in physical activities, such as maybe in your normal routine, you wouldn't necessarily choose to go hiking, but if you go on vacation near the mountains, then a hike would be something that interests you. Or maybe you walk around the shops that are downtown that maybe you normally wouldn't go on a long walk. So just when you're traveling, there's just a lot of benefits that come with that, and it can improve your health as well as strengthening your immune system. Obviously, when you travel, you're around different people. If you go overseas, you're eating different types of food, maybe drinking different water, and so your body will adapt to that, and then you'll have a stronger immune system when you come back home. Our last point is when traveling, it can broaden one's worldview. Projects Abroad says you will be exposed to new things, and you will learn respect for others as well as learn new things. So obviously, like we've talked about, when you're traveling, you'll be doing new things. And again, if you're traveling overseas, you'll be surrounded by different people groups, maybe people who speak differently than you or have a different religion than you. And oftentimes, seeing these people in their routine can cause you to have more empathy for these people, and just a interest of these people and how they live and what they do, since it is so different than you, as well as just open eyes to maybe the new things that they do in their culture that is very foreign to you, that you wouldn't necessarily have learned if you hadn't traveled. So what we talked about was traveling brings personal growth, it improves one's health, and also expands one's worldview. And then going back to my trip to Zambia, I learned a lot on this trip, and these 3 points stuck out to me a lot, where I grew confidence as I was in this new country and surrounded by these new people. It was a mission trip, and so I was forced outside of my comfort zone to speak about the gospel and just minister to these children that I normally wouldn't do, and so that's how I was experiencing confidence. And I was filled with joy that maybe I wouldn't have been filled with, and just not necessarily an improved immune system, but improved mental health while on this trip, just getting to see the joy of the children that were there, as well as I was exposed to new things. Something that happened that really impacted me on this trip was one night we had a movie night out in the country where a lot of these African people lived, and it was very cold. And so I just went to the truck that we were using, and I just slipped on a sweatshirt and slipped sweatpants under my skirt. And then I came back to the movie night, and I was sitting there, and I was still shivering, and I looked around, and I saw that all of these African children had smiles on their faces, but they also had holes in their clothes and were shivering, but they were joyful, and they had these huge smiles on their faces, and it just brought me so much joy, and also opened my eyes of how it's so easy to take for granted the blessings that we have in life, and how it's so easy to focus on when we're cold, we can just grab a jacket, and we don't realize that there are other places where they don't have that blessing, where they can't just go and grab a sweatshirt or jacket, but they have to live in the cold. So, now that you've heard my story, I hope that I've encouraged you to go out and travel and come back with stories of your own.